Let's jump into problem 1912A. We're looking at a lease and we're doing it both sides, the lessor and the lessee. Hope Logistics leased a truck from Ashcroft Equipment, a truck dealer. Details are below. So we're leasing a freight truck starting January 1st, 2031. It's a 5-year lease. $16,000 annual payment starting on January 1. So it is an annuity due type of a lease. Let's see, there's $16,000 payments and we're doing 5 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at time 0, we're making a payment because it's due on January 1st, day 1 of our lease. So at the start of time 0, we make a payment, and then those are the 5 payments as time goes on. So in terms of discounting cash flows, we're going to discount these 4 cash flows back to time 0, and that's an annuity, right? Like these 4 years are an annuity. This first $16,000 is already discounted. So when we discount our cash flows, we'll discount 4 years worth and then just add in the $16,000 at the end. Let's see, remaining economic life, 6 years, $70,000 is the fair value of this asset, $40,000 is the lessor's cost. Now, the lessee, of course, doesn't know this $40,000. That's just, the lessor knows what their cost is. Our discount rate we're going to use across the board is 7%, and collection is probable with no weird uncertainties around the lease. So we're going to start by accounting for the lessee, and first we're going to classify this and do a journal entry. So first, is this a finance or an operating lease from the perspective of the lessee, the person leasing the truck? Well, 1, is title changing hands? No. 2, is there a purchase option at the end? And if so, is it likely to be exercised? Is it a bargain purchase? No, there's no purchase happening at the end of this. 3, is the lease term more or equal to or greater than 75% of the remaining economic life of the asset? And the answer here is yes, it's 5/6, right? It's 83%, so greater than 75% of life, econ life. So the lease is greater than, econ life, the lease term is greater than 75% of the econ life, therefore it is a finance type lease. Now, what about the present value of those cash flows? Do we hit the 90% threshold also? The answer is going to be yes, but let's crunch those numbers. So we want to discount it back at 7%. So again, we could just divide by 1.07 to the 0, this divide by 1.07 to the 1, this divided by 1.07 to the 2, and so on, and add those all up, and you'd get the discounted cash flow, and that's an easy way to do it. I always like to do the PV of an annuity, so these 4 years are an annuity. This is not, because we're not needing to discount it, so let's do the PV of our annuity. PV equals PMT times 1 minus 1 over 1 plus R to the T, all divided by R. I know that formula is annoying. Hopefully at this point you've got it, you're getting there with it. I find it easier than actually doing a PV in a financial calculator, but that's just me, maybe I'm a quirky guy. Minus 1 over 1.07. Now, we only go to the 4th power here, even though there's 5 payments. The reason is one of those payments just doesn't need to be discounted, 0.07. Okay, so 1.07 raised to the power of x to the y 4 is 1.31. I go 1 over x for that number. I go put that in as a negative, plus 1. 0.23 divide by 0.07. 3.38, and I multiply by 16,000. 54,195. And that's the present value of what's in the box here, 54,195. I have to add the $16,000 undiscounted payment to that, so plus 16,000, and I get a PV of 70,195. And that happens to be the same as my fair value. You'll find a lot of these questions where you do lessor or lessee at the same time, you end up with this, and the reason is it gets convoluted otherwise from a question design perspective. So you'll see this a lot. But in terms of, is this 90% or more? The answer is yeah, it's 100%, right? The present value of future payments is 100% of the fair value, no more, no less in this case. Okay. So classify the lease. Oh, the last criteria for US GAAP is there a function for this outside of the lease, like for the lessor? And yeah, it's a truck. They could definitely take it back at the end and find some use for it or sell it or whatever. Okay, so it is definitely a finance type lease. In Canadian GAAP, we would call it a capital lease. What's the January 1st, 2031 journal entry? Well, we're going to do 2 entries. One, just for the lease, present value of future payments, $71.95. So we're going to debit, credit lease liability. I was trying to think of the word. Debit right of use asset is the word I was struggling for. Credit lease liability for $71.95. Debit right of use assets $71.95. And the other thing that happens at time 0 here, I'm going to leave a bit of room here, January 1, 2031, we pay, right? We make our first payment. Credit cash, how much is it? Our payment is a $16,000 payment, and we debit lease liability. Now, you've seen in previous questions, I've done this in one step. You can certainly do it in one step. You get the same place, whether you do it in one step or 2, as I've done here. And to do it in one step, you would just put the credit cash up here and reduce your lease liability immediately by 16. Let's continue. So that was part A. Part B, complete the lease amortization table for the first 2 payments. Okay, well, the first payment happens at time 0, so it's a $16,000 payment, but there's no interest on that first payment because it happened at time 0. So we go from $71.95 down by $16,000, and we end at $54,195. Now, we make another lease payment of $16,000. There is interest on this. $54,195 times 7% is $37.94. So our liability was paid down by $16,000, but $37.94 in interest. So we only get to pay down $12,206 of the liability. Again, a $16,000 payment was made. $37,000 pays off the interest. $12,206 pays down the liability. $54,195 minus $12,206 is $41. That can't be right. Is that right? No, I did something funny here. Maybe I did it right. $54,195 minus $12,206. I had a little brain thing there. $41,989. I don't know why I was feeling like I was doing something wrong, but that looks good to me. Okay, so we've done part B. We've completed the table. Part C, prepare Hope's December 31st, 2031 journal entries. First, we have this asset on our books that is losing value over time, right? $71.95 it depreciates / amortizes over the term of the lease, so over 5 years. $71.95 divided by 5 is $14,039. That's going to be our amortization / depreciation. US GAAP calls it amortization. Canadian GAAP and IFRS call it depreciation. US GAAP will win the day here. We're going to debit amort expense, but again, you Canadians, depreciation expense. The credit here, sometimes under US GAAP or in certain textbooks, they'll credit the asset directly. They'll just credit right of use asset. I would prefer to credit accumulated amortization. They're both accepted and acceptable, right of use asset. 14,039. And of course, Canadians and IFRSers debit depreciation expense, credit AD, accumulated depreciation. Same difference though, same idea at play here. Okay. One more entry on December 31st, and that's the accrual here. Now, we don't make a payment. I know the payment's dated January 1st, 2032, so there's no payment on December 31st, 2031, but interest has been building, and we got to record that. Debit interest expense, $37.94, and we're going to credit lease liability or interest payable. And I think lease liability is definitely the way to go. It's the more commonly used account, but interest payable is certainly, in my view, acceptable. There we go, though. We have done our entry for December 31st, 2031, and we've completed the lessee side as much as been asked for. And obviously, you could keep going on this lease. Let's go ahead and move over to the lessor side. First, we got to classify the lease. Well, if it's a finance lease for the lessee, it's going to be a finance lease for the lessor because it's all the same criteria. So it hits the 75% rule. And it also hits the over 90% rule. Once we say it's a finance lease, we want to further say, is it a, direct financing type lease? A little more uncommon, or is it a sales type lease, which is much more common? Different criteria. Now, IFRS doesn't care. IFRS just isn't interested in distinguishing, so it just says it's a finance type lease and it's done. US GAAP says, is there a third party guarantor on a residual value, and is that pushing us over the 90%, right? If there's a third party guarantor who pushes the 90%, pushes it over the 90% rule, it's a direct financing lease. There's no third party guarantor, there's no residual value here, it doesn't matter here, so we're a sales type lease. Canadian GAAP says, is the company making money on it? Is the cost, is the fair value higher than the cost? So we've got a finance lease. Is the capital lease, we call it in Canada, is the cost less than the fair value? If so, it's a sales type lease. Either way, it's a sales type lease here. So fair enough. So if it's a sales type lease, and most of them will be in your class, I imagine, here's how you deal with it. You deal with it like you sold some inventory. So we're going to debit lease receivable, sort of like an AR type account, for the present value of the future payments, $71.95. Now that does not have to match the fair value, but it will in a lot of examples. It does not have to match though. So just a heads up. Doesn't change anything we're doing here. The credit is to sales, right? This is a sales type lease, so we're going to treat this as a sale. Now, when you have a sale of an asset and you're an inventory sale, or you're a company that sells this type of equipment, debit COGS, credit inventory. We're going to call this stuff inventory. And what's the cost? $40,000 given in the question. That's what makes this a sales type lease. All right, what else happens on January 1st, 2031? So we've established a sales type lease, then it says do all the journal entries. I don't know that I said that, I just jumped into it. Well, if we were the lessee, we paid $16,000. Well, the lessor received $16,000, right? There's that initial $16,000 payment, debit cash $16,000, and credit lease receivable. So it's just two sides of the same coin is what this is. This part of the exercise is meant to show you, like, just flip over the books and, it's the flip side of that transaction. On December 31st, 2031, does the lessor record amortization or depreciation as the lessee did? No, because they don't have the asset, right? They got rid of the asset. They credited the asset, got it off their books. They don't have a right of use asset sitting on their books, so they have nothing to amortize or depreciate related to this asset. They do, however, have interest. Oops, let me write that in line here. I'm trying to line up the answers, so no entry for that. Just as we match these up, there's interest revenue for us, $37.94. So we credit interest rev or interest income, $37.94, and the debit is to either interest receivable or lease receivable. And I prefer lease receivable just as I preferred lease liability here. All these things, though, really do follow what your textbook or your professor conventions are. So just be careful around that. These things are different. I've got a bunch of accounting textbooks and they all do them slightly differently, but the way I'm showing you is certainly a reasonable way. Part F, so that's the entries. Part F, compare Hope's lease liability with Ashcroft's net investment. Okay, so lease liability, credit 7195. Actually, let me use a highlighter. Credit 7195, lease receivable, that's our lease investment, debit 7195. Debit 16,000, credit 16,000, right? They're just flip side of the same coin. And the last entry, credit 37, debit 3,700. So they are the same balance, and the balance is 7195 minus 16,000 plus 3,794. The lease liability / lease receivable. Oops, thought I changed my pen here. Lease liab / lease receivable on the December 31st balance sheet is going to be 57,989. Obviously, it's a liability on one company's books and an asset on the other company's books. What's the interest expense and interest income? Well, that one's easier. There's only one item, and it's this last one. It's $37.94. And again, it's an expense on this side and a revenue on that. Where does the truck live? Well, who has the truck on their books? And the answer is these guys. The lessor, the person leasing the thing. I guess in this case, that's Hope Logistics, who leased the truck. But there you go. We've solved it. Well done by you. Hopefully well done by me. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now. The next video in our series is right up here. And if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.